think I got some technical difficulties. And it's saying that I'm not live on everything. But the beautiful thing about live radio is that I'm still live on iHeartRadio, even if this live stream is giving me a hard time. So there's some places that probably will not see it this evening, but we got a great show for you this evening because we are going to be talking about men's mental health. And we are going to be talking about relationships and dating and vulnerability from a male's perspective. And I have some great individuals that are going to be in the building with me tonight from the Sparring Minds podcast. And I'm going to have these brothers help me out in being able to tell me who they are and what they do and, you know, what they want the people to know about them. So first and foremost, who do we have in the studio with me tonight? I'm going to introduce them one at a time, but I'm going to bring them on camera first. Can you guys, how y'all doing, guys? So I'm gonna talk to you by name. Y'all gonna have to pull y'all microphones. Oh, y'all don't even got your headphones on yet. Headphones are on the other side. Y'all headphones is on the other side. Okay, let me get y'all mics on too. All right, here we go. Everybody's mic is on. Yep, mics are on. The little plug is on the opposite side, so y'all can plug into there so you can hear what's going on. Yep, it's right here. The plug is right there. The little black thing is on the opposite side. Y'all do it. Yep. This is what happens on live radio, everyone. Y'all gonna give us a second. We're gonna get it all together. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So everybody's in. Everybody can hear. Turn their volume up. The little levers. I can hear y'all. Bring y'all mics closer to y'all. I can hear you. All right. Mic check. All right. Everybody's live. So I'm going to say each person one at a time and introduce you. So first up, we got the chef.
What's going on?
Yes,
Chef?
I can hear you loud and clear. So what I love, I got a chance to eat your cooking. You can definitely burn.
Appreciate it.
And I love the work that you do with the young people.
Thank you.
Now, you have been a part of the podcast from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we all have.
Yeah. So you're one of the founding members. We also have Mr. Maritime. How you doing, Mr. Maritime? Yeah. Yep. Let me turn you up too. Make sure you're up. Go ahead. Talk in the mic. All right. One more time. Still don't hear you. All right. Here we go. There you go. Say hey.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Yeah, there you go. I hear we got you now. All right. So we got Mr. Maritime. Now we go way back.
Yes.
People don't know that. Like we was like familiar social media strangers, if that's even a thing, right? So I knew of him. I don't know if he knew of me, but I used to wear this big afro and we ran across each other in Slades. So, you know, he also is a chef. That's interesting. Got two chefs on the same podcast. Uh-huh. So you're also a chef and a dad, and we've come on my show before.
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting. We talked about loyalty when you were here last time. We had a good conversation. And then we have the man of the hour all the way on the end. I loved your post because I said, you know, when they tell us to go low, instead we're going to go high tower. People really liked how I did that word play. So you as well are the voice of reason. You are the person that kind of comes and reels all of the guys in.
Yeah, I try to be.
Awesome. And then we have DJ Payne. Let's bring him on. How you doing?
What's going on? Y'all can hear me?
Yes. Y'all hear him?
Gretzky.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
More. Here we go. How about that? One more time. Mic check.
Mic check. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him.
All right. Everybody got him? I'm going to turn this mic up just a little bit more. All right. So we got the whole crew in the building. All right, guys. So give me a little bit of background. How did y'all come about putting together y'all podcast, first and foremost? Just so people can get a little bit of background, learn a little bit more about you, when they can have you, when you air and all of that good stuff. So that way, all of the people on iHeartRadio who know nothing about you know a little bit about you. And then I'm going to jump into some of the juicy topics that I want to talk about.
So we go back to some beers at the round table, or when we decided?
Yeah, I think it's when we decided. We had talked about the idea for a number of years before we actually did it.
It was on a cruise. It
Yeah.
was 2015. We were on a cruise, all of us together. And we were having conversations then, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were going to do this, talked about it, and pretty much dragged it on for like 5 years until the pandemic came, and then that kind of forced it. Then we was like, no, we doing it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of just jumped in it with 2 feet. Not really a bunch of experience, you know what I'm saying? But we knew something we wanted to do. We had the time, and we just talked about it together collectively.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And just made it happen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people have aspirations about coming into the podcast industry. It's like become a thing. And I remember earlier on, we didn't see as many people podcasting, but now it's just like everybody wants a podcast. Just spoke at a retreat in the Cape, and 3 of the women that were there had aspirations and had wrote down that was one of their goals. So, all right. DJ Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
How you feeling?
Tired. I just had my son here, so
I can't hear DJ Payne. Can y'all hear him?
Either, you know?
You gotta turn your volume up, DJ Payne.
hold on 1 second.
So put some bass in your voice.
Yeah, because I can barely hear him. I can barely
Mic
hear
check.
him on my
Can y'all
side.
hear
At
me?
first I could hear him, but now I can't hear him anymore.
Can you hear me now? We good?
Payne's an introvert too.
Is he really?
He is.
Well, I don't think that's the sound that's happening. But yeah, I don't know why he's not as clear as he should be.
Check. Can you hear me?
Uh-uh.
Can you hear me?
But it's funny, I can hear him faintly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
I don't know
weird.
what that is.
Let's see.
Well, so DJ Payne, we can't hear you as clear. Some people can. They can hear you. Yeah, Marv said he can hear you. So people can hear you. So that's good. As
Okay.
long as the audience can hear you and you guys can hear him, we're good to go. So tell me a little bit about like how you guys go about coming up with your topics and how do you manage all of the different personalities? Because I've watched the show a few times.
And
Managing. I don't know who manages the personalities. I don't know. Like we're 5 completely different
Completely
people.
different. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes it work so well, because we all come from different perspectives and we just try to mesh it in together for one common goal for the team. You know what I mean? If it's tough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some ideas don't always make it to the table. Some topics don't always make it to the table. You know what I mean? But, we compromise with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, okay, we'll use this for that or this for that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And then, believe me, there's a lot of button heads too.
a lot of button heads.
Because again, we got people that like to go rogue sometimes, man, and everything. And sometimes you gotta be like, it's just little being little, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's all with a good intent. You know what I mean? His intentions are always good.
Yeah.
So that's never the question.
Mhm.
It's just, he's just like, you know what? I'm not waiting for you dudes, man. Fuck that. Excuse my language.
Oh,
Forget that. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
sorry about that. iHeartRadio.
So we gotta edit that.
Forget that.
So when I want to go, I just want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wanted, why I brought you guys on, one of the things that I have found interesting is the way men and women think, right? So one of the things I got accused of earlier on before I got to season 6 is that all I had was a bunch of women. And I feel like now I've gone completely the opposite direction and I've had a whole bunch of men. And so tonight's conversation, we really wanted to sort of be able to have all your different personalities and perspectives, because I think that adds some depth to the conversation. And I'm curious, and I know a lot of people might be curious about what men think, especially women, but I think there's not always a space for men to speak candidly, be vulnerable. And one of the things I admire about your show is that that's what you've created, and creating it is that you guys are being your authentic selves. Like there's no filter, there's no code switching. I mean, you guys just lay it all out, and you allow natural conflict, and banter and differences of opinion. One of the things, shout out to James Lambert, he said, attack the idea and not the person.
Yeah.
And I think you guys do that really, really well. The other thing is, amongst women, shout out to all of the ladies that's listening. You hear a lot of women say they have a very difficult time making female friends or connecting with women. They prefer to connect with men. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yeah, on occasion. Yeah.
On occasion. Why do you think, do you got an idea why that might be the case, that, you know, a lot of women find it more challenging to connect with each other and prefer connecting with men?
I think it comes down to trust. There's a level of, you know, maybe women think there's some sort of ulterior motive behind those connections. It's like what she really want, why is she really over here?
You know, competition.
Yeah, competition, or she has something I want. You know what I mean?
So is that to say men don't have that same idea, that like competition and jealousy, envy, and stuff like that, and trust issues?
No, I think we do, but I think we keep the emotions separate from those types of situations. Like we can kind of take things at face value and then kind of adjust on the fly.
Oh, that's interesting. So is that why I've heard and witnessed men be able to like literally go to blows, like have a fist fight and be cool the next day?
Depending on what that fist fight was for.
Yeah, it was for.
Okay, so give me some examples. What do you mean? What kind of things would allow you to punch somebody in the face and then still dap it up after?
Like one of my friends, like,
yeah,
I mean,
like I've seen guys like literally get mad, fight. They put it in a lot of movies too, where you get two brothers, they fist fight, two best friends, I have a fight, and then they're good after. Like women don't usually fight and then be good after. They don't really put that in movies. I've never seen that demonstrated or displayed, but I've seen brothers do it. Men do it.
I mean, sometimes it's necessary. Like if things are built up and, you know what I mean, it just, you catch someone on one of those moments, regardless of who it is. And then if you could be man enough to be like, you know what, man, like, yo, we got that out the way. Like we good after that. Like that's, you know, men are different in that regard. Like,
yeah,
we're not going to hold on to a grudge or something like that with another. At least I don't. So I can't speak for someone else.
So are men and women are that different, that men don't hold on to grudges and don't have jealousy, envy? Y'all are like just buds?
No.
That happens. No.
We're not saying that at all.
That's naive to say it doesn't happen.
No.
We both do it. I think the percentages of women tend to be a little higher than the percentages of men that hold those types of feelings in those situations.
So I've heard, you know, men are not that emotional. Females are so emotional. I mean, as a therapist, I think that's just BS, right? I think that we're all emotional.
Yeah.
And I think anger, frustration, all of that, those are emotions that men demonstrate, but then are not considered emotional. Like, I think that needs to just get thrown out the window. I think we're all emotional. Just how we show up might look a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think we're all emotional.
I agree.
I think
we
men
definitely
are
are
more emotional.
Some people wear it more on their sleeve than others do. Like just, it's like a badge of honor for them. You know what I mean?
All right. So that kind of brings me to my segue question about therapy, right? So we know that historically, or even just in general, statistics show that men don't go to therapy, or don't necessarily find it useful. They've reported to go to therapy as much as women. When I do couples therapy, you tend to have the wife go to therapy first and dragging the husband along. What do you guys think about that? And what does therapy mean to you?
I mean,
since we're all emotional, we covered that, right? We're all emotional.
Therapy for me, you know, means just I'm finding ways to deal with untreated trauma that I've had or went through throughout the years, right? And, you know, growing up, like, it was frowned upon. You know what I mean? Like, you had your fathers and your uncles and stuff telling you, like, yo, no, man up, toughen up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, it was cool, but it was at that time, but it was the wrong advice, because you mess up a lot of people with that. You know what I mean? Like, everybody just isn't built to just bottle everything up that they're dealing with and never find something as a form of expression to let that out. You know what I mean? In some regard. And, you know, therapy is big. Like, I've did therapy when I was in a relationship years ago, couples therapy. I was just doing it recently, like a month or so ago. I'm actually looking for another therapist. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's very necessary. And you know, again, older me sees it differently than younger me did. You know what I mean? Now I know I need to talk to someone about some of the things that's going on. You know what I mean? It's been a lot of death and stuff like that. And I can't keep treating it like it's just a normal thing and not find some sort of outlet to express myself.
It's just trying to find your peace.
That's it.
Yeah, Sam, pull the mic a little bit closer when you're talking there. So you say therapy is finding your peace, and you know, it's definitely being able to have an outlet to talk to somebody. What about you, Hightower? What does it mean to you?
It's funny you asked because, you know, I would have had a different response maybe a few years ago, where I was maybe not against it, but maybe not so, you know, quick to get involved with it. I've since kind of let that wall down and have gotten fully immersed in what therapy can do for me, and that's kind of where I began to, you know, lower that wall and, you know, be more engaged in what that looks like.
Yeah. You know, I feel like, do you think as you've gotten older that you guys are embracing the idea of therapy more as you matured and gotten wiser?
Definitely.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
What do you think the trigger was to change your mind?
For me, I was losing more and more people that I confided in over the years. Like as I was coming up, I had my right hand that I can just say, you know, tell any and everything about. And over the years, that relationship kind of went south. Now you got to kind of start that over again. And now you know, and now it's to a point where I'm not worried about that so much. I have a person, I know I'm gonna speak to this person on a, you know, consistent basis. There's no judgment, there's no whatever. It's really just a listening ear with sound advice on a response.
Right. So you losing confidants.
Yeah.
Do you think it was because of you that you lost these people, or because of them?
It's never because of me.
Right answer, right? It's never me. Why would it be me? Oh man, shout out to everybody that's tuned in from Facebook and iHeartRadio. You guys are tuned into the Urban Heat right here in Boston, Massachusetts. We're in Hyde Park, and we're radio with a purpose. And this is Coach La, your favorite around the way therapist. We're talking to the fellas from the Sparring Minds podcast. So therapy means a little bit, it's almost, you got a lot of similarities in it. And, you know, I know Charles was going to come on. Shout out to Charles. I know he couldn't get on tonight, but he didn't actually believe in it and didn't want to, you know, he was like, yeah, nah, it's not for me. You know, did he share any of his other opinions about it?
Yeah, we just had a live the other day that he got on, and he spoke to it a little bit. I was hoping he was going to be here so he could speak a little more to it tonight. But I think he said I don't know if he changed his tune a little bit, but it seemed like he's
warming up.
He's warming up.
He's borderline.
He's warming up
he's
to
warming
it.
up.
I think he's a little closer to it, not going, but just the idea of it,
right?
More than he was before.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
No,
that's
definitely
good to hear. What about you, Payne? What's therapy mean to you?
Can you hear me? You can hear me now? Okay, cool. For me, therapy is basically just dealing with stuff in the now, because I was one of those people that would try to pack 10 tons of emotion into a 2-ton warehouse. So I would just build up, and then explode. So for me, therapy is dealing with stuff here and now so that it doesn't become trauma later.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think, you know, I have found that when I work with males, they are very goal oriented, right? So they come in, it's like, listen, I want to have better communication with my wife. I'm trying not to strangle people at work. I'm trying to make sure that I get these goals done and hold myself accountable. Can you help me with that? Okay, good. I'm better. Bye. The women stay longer, and it's like, well, I like you. You're like my friend now, and you're my girlfriend, and I don't want to let you go. Wait a minute, you want to discharge me? Why?
Yeah.
The men, not so much. They definitely are just like, you know what? I know where to find you if I need you again. What do y'all think about that? Y'all think that that's pretty typical?
I tried to.
I mean, well, I can't speak for every man, but like I think in my case, I had stopped years ago because the therapist that I was going to at the time she transferred out to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like laid out so much in those sessions that it was gonna be tough for me to just bottle all that up and then just go to another person like that. It kind of scarred me for a little bit. I was like, man,
you got abandonment issues.
I don't want to open up again to someone, and it's like, yo, like, you know what I mean? So it took me a while to get back to that point.
Yeah. So, what I've found is that most people later in life go because our parents wasn't sending us to therapy. Have you seen that amongst the people because I don't want to generalize us, because some people that I've met have had parents that brought them to therapy when they were young.
Nah, I wasn't seeing that when I was younger. Definitely, I would say it's been more of a thing with age. You know what I mean? Getting older and just, wanting to just, again, find an outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you hear about therapy in your household in terms of like, I know when I was coming up, my mother was like, you don't need no therapist. I can tell you what's wrong with you.
Coming up in the household, nah, therapy was like shunned on.
Mm-hmm.
You had a problem. Something was wrong with you. So, nah.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really see it much.
So I got intrigued by therapy. One thing was watching a show called The Sopranos. You know what I mean? Tony Soprano. This guy was a super mob boss, like in control of New Jersey, everything. But he had a therapist that he went to like once a week or so. This was a stone cold gangster. And I was like, wow, that's like a stone cold gangster can go and express how he feels and the things that he's going through. And he has all these issues. So that was one thing that kind of like helped intrigue me a little bit, like seeing that on TV, because I love that show.
Yeah, that was good. Even though didn't he end up getting like had a romantic interest with his therapist? Then he have no.
He was dreaming about it. I believe it got close. I believe they did.
Falling for the therapist?
Yeah.
Because his therapist ended up having a therapist because of the session she was
having with him. Yes.
It made her
so
wow.
I am going to I've said this before, but I have a therapist, and I think a therapist needs to have a therapist for precisely that reason.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have some place. We can't talk about our clients, right? So we almost need our own attorney client privilege to like be able to discuss how certain clients impact us or affect us. I mean, I have great coping skills, but some of the stuff that you listen to is intense in therapy. So yeah, that's cool. That's actually a nice way that TV, I guess, mirrored some things. Another movie I saw was Good Will Hunting. I think that was another good one that showed the dynamics between a client and a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you guys thought about coming on tonight's show and I asked you about what therapy meant to you, because you get that question up front, what were your feelings and emotions towards that question?
I mean, I was ready for it.
Yeah, I was ready for it. It was no issue.
Yeah, I was ready. It was no problem at all.
Yeah, you guys are very seasoned people in terms of you giving very politically correct answers, right? Like you was ready for the question. I said, what did you feel about the question? What was your emotions about the question?
You want go ahead, bro. I felt like it was a good conversation to have.
Yeah.
That you know what I mean? Just in total transparency, I felt like it was a good thing to have, and I'm here with my brothers having it.
Yeah, especially coming from us, because I feel like it's still some sort of a stigma against it, and I think the more we talk about the benefits of it for us personally, the more folks will be willing to maybe take an interest or be more curious to the benefits of it, because there definitely are benefits.
Okay, so for all of the gentlemen out there that are maybe struggling and not choosing to go to therapy, the fellas are saying that it's something to at least consider. Now, a lot of women encourage it, right? And shout out to Kurt Foston. He made a comment recently that men are horrible at having platonic relationships. And it got me to thinking about why that might be. And then offline, we were talking about conquest, right? And but you called it, Sam. I mean, Mr. Maritime. You called it the hit list, right?
Gonna put me out.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna have a conversation about, what are some things that bring men to therapy. Often is their woman, either the woman they want or the woman that they're with, or they're cheating. They're doing something that usually prompts them to finally be dragged into therapy. Or
I'm sorry, did you say the woman they want?
The woman they want.
Like they're in a relationship with, you mean?
So they might be dating a woman, or they want to become serious with her, or maybe they want to marry her, and she's giving them said, you really need to go work on some of your stuff.
Oh, snap!
I see that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So
makes sense.
the woman that they want has made a comment, about some things that are concerning her.
Yeah.
Relationships tend to be the mirror that often opens up the door for people to come to therapy, because you get to really know yourself once you decide to be with somebody else, right?
Yep.
So where I'm going with this is, so for those men that are not considering it, right, or they're like, nah, I'm good, I don't need to go to therapy, how do you think it could help them? So when we think about ego, the hit list, and women feeling as though, a lot of guys are not opening up and not vulnerable, not sharing their feelings and emotions, they're kind of shut off, and they send them to therapy so that they can get in touch with their emotions. That's what they hope.
I think it can help a lot. I went to therapy to help fix a relationship. So
thank you, DJ Payne.
It wasn't she felt like I needed to work on something. It was a last resort for me. Like, all right, I'm trying everything to make it work. And the way it can help you is it can help you figure out if it's worth saving or if it's worth moving forward and parting ways amicably, instead of it becoming toxic and just bitter and bad.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that with a lot of marriages where they are on the fence and they need a mediator. They can't seem to have a conversation without it getting intense, heated, or what they call stonewalling each other, where it's a complete shutdown. I often say, cheating is so much about needs and, affection, validation, admiration. There's so many things that cause people to sort of go outside of their union because whatever they're not getting something, right? And they don't maybe they've articulated, because it's not always that people are not telling their partner. Sometimes the partner is out and out refusing to give the person what they need and still wanting them to be in relationship because of the kids or whatever else. So they go and they step out on their relationship. So you guys said that was a tough one. What makes it tough? Well, to answer that question about, how can men benefit from it?
I mean, you can benefit because hopefully it'll get you to be more vulnerable with your partner to talk about stuff. The only problem with that is, and we had this conversation before on our show, is that sometimes that safe space with women to be vulnerable is tough, because if you say too much of how you feel or you put too much of that out there, sometimes that can get thrown back against you. You know what I'm saying? And,
thank you for saying that.
And try to see like, you're less of a man. So it's like, okay, you want me to talk about how I feel and stuff like that. And so then when I do it, then you're just going to turn around and throw it back up in my face. And like most men, it's like, okay, now I'm really just like, I'm going to shut down at that point. Cause it's like, well, I can't be vulnerable and talk to you about what's going on or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, I don't know. You can't want us to be vulnerable, but then don't allow the safe space or the for us to be that way too.
Yeah.
It's almost like they want you to be vulnerable as long as it's what they want to hear. If they don't want to hear it, then forget it. Keep it to yourself.
Ladies, I have to agree with the fellas on this, because I have seen that where women have said they wanted the vulnerability, but are you really ready for his vulnerability? Are you going to make space for it? And the idea of throwing it back into your face Just so I'm not assuming, what does that look like to have it thrown back in your face?
Well, I cursed before, so I don't want to curse again. But you can be called all types of bleeps about, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is it the N bleep or is it the B?
UBA.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
All right. So it's interesting. I don't know if this clip's gonna play, but I'm gonna try to play it in a second. But I think that there's so much power in the tongue. So an older lady, she, mature woman, had said, women have to be mindful of how we speak. Not that we can't share things that we are concerned about or what we don't like, but how we do it can be verbally abusive, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of men, which this could be a trigger moment for people, because there's such a large degree of single parent households where women are the primary parent. Some women have tried to play or overcompensate the role of the dad. So the mom was hard, right? And how she spoke to her son and the things that she did. So he didn't get that vulnerability or that softness that usually moms would bring into the dynamic, because she was trying to be both the mother and the father. So there was a part of her that felt like she needed to make him tough. So she tried to do that.
Yeah.
So I wonder, often when this is happening, men have said their wives, their girlfriends, they accept it because it seems familiar, but it shuts them down and it makes them disconnect emotionally and sometimes even physically, intimately to their partners. What y'all think about that?
Well, I mean, part of that's a cycle, because if you have a young man being raised in a single parent home or single mother home, and she's taken that role of, both parents and toughening up her son to the point where he hasn't expressed or learned the balance of being vulnerable. Now this young man grows to an adult and still doesn't know what it looks or feels like to be vulnerable. So now he's just, it's a cycle.
Right. Yeah. What you guys think?
My sentiments is that.
Yeah. I mean, it's triggering for a lot of guys when we start touching on mother wounds, because we don't talk enough about that. We hear a lot about dads not doing what they're supposed to do, but a lot of times mothers have done some harm too, and not necessarily, they're not always called out for some of the harm that they do. It's not seen. It's like, especially here in Massachusetts, like you usually will always give custody to the mom.
Yeah.
And that dads are often not seen as the primary provider and or nurturer, I should say.
Yeah.
So, there was when I was working at my previous job, one of the things men said, like, they could be on the list, for instance, for pickup for their kids. They would call everybody else before they would call dad. Like, his name is on there, but he would be the last person that they would call instead of right after mom.
Yeah.
So like this was something. When they go to a medical appointment, mom and dad will sit there and they will direct all the questions to the mother.
Yeah.
And often the father would know more about what was going on with the child than the mother did, but it was an assumption that dad didn't know anything, or they didn't even address dad when he was in the room. So this is, some things that men have reported that have been stereotyped that they deal with on a ongoing basis. So if this is how society in general, you heard that statement, mom is always daddy maybe. You ever heard that statement?
Yeah, mama.
No.
What is it? Mommy's baby, daddy's maybe, or something like
Yeah,
that.
I heard mommy's that. Always daddy maybe. So it's like, the mother is always the primary person. So when you have single moms with that type of messaging, how does that play into how they raise their own children?
That's insane. Like, fathers are just looked at like
we're second-class
citizens, man. Like,
second-class citizens.
It happens.
No love. Like, it's crazy. Like how far, like they've started making, and I know I'm going somewhere else, but they've started making Father's Day cards for moms, for single moms. Like,
yeah, don't do that to me.
That's crazy.
Please don't say Happy Father's Day to me.
That's crazy to me. Like, what? Like,
people have gotten angry. I'm like, I've literally had to redirect people. Like, do not send me those messages. I'm not gonna respond. I'm not gonna say thank you. Just celebrate me extra on Mother's Day. Yeah. I'm not a dad. I'm a mother, and that's all I'm trying to do.
So you have a problem with it?
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. I said, so the interesting thing, so I'm a true single mother, right? What that means is I don't have a co-parent. Some people say they're a single parent, but there's an active co-parent, and you're just single in terms of your status, like you're not in a relationship. But I'm truly a single parent. And I remember the conversation I had with my son's father very early on. I said, listen, I don't know what role you're going to play. It's always open for you to play a role, but I'm only going to be the best mother that I can be. And it's going to be your responsibility to determine what kind of relationship and how you want your son to see you. It's not going to be on me to do that.
Yeah.
You need to do that. And I've stayed very true to him having that responsibility, So yeah, I'm only a mom. Try to be a really good one.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
That's it. That's all I'm going to do. So you guys, I told you I had found something which is in alignment with this before we move on. Because how many of y'all are girl dads?
All of us.
Everybody.
Of us. Actually,
everybody on
the
girl
screen,
dad, right?
Except for well, Jones isn't here with us, but Jones is the only one that's not a girl dad. He has 2 boys.
So this is a controversial question. Would you want your daughter to date you now? The man that you are now, would you want your daughters to date the man that you are now? And would you want her to date the man you were maybe 10, 20 years ago?
She could probably date me now. She couldn't date me not even 5 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
Not 5 years ago either?
Maybe not.
She could date me now. I mean, she's gonna come across a younger version of me at some point in her life. So I mean, I guess I could say she could date both versions. One might love her more, one might hurt her more. I don't know. It could be a little bit of both.
My daughter could probably date. Well, she can easily date me then or me now. She'd have a better version of me now, but she might have some struggle with the younger me. But the younger me was still a gentleman, no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, always.
All right. I found that my male clients tend to also, when they have a daughter, that's a trigger to come to therapy.
Yep.
Because all of their stuff, now that they have a daughter, starts to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
And they get kind of concerned, or they get very overprotective of their daughters. So I remember my father, God rest his soul, he all he wanted was all of his daughters to find a guy who was going to be a provider, respectful. That was something he wished had happened before he had left out of here. Unfortunately, I did everything else but that. I didn't give him that wish, but maybe before the time's up, I'll I'm still single. But anyway, we ain't making this about Coach. All right. So here's what someone sent me, and wanted to sort of get you guys' opinion on it. So there's a version for ladies, and the first part is for ladies. So here's what the advice was. Don't think having sex with a man will make him love you. You will only get confused with your feelings. Learn to draw the difference between love and sex. A man's emotion is not connected with sex, but yours is associated with your feelings. Men can have sex with many ladies without having feelings for any of them. But a woman finds it difficult to let go of a man when she enjoys sex with him. So that's the first part. Gentlemen, don't pressure ladies for sex when you're not ready to take responsibility. Being a man is not about how many ladies you've slept with. It is more of how many ladies you've helped become better. Not by making them a mom by circumstances of abortion or delaying their progress in life, but by bringing out the best in them through their career, ambitions, and virtues in life.
Mm-hmm.
What y'all think about that? Is that solid advice, or y'all like, nah?
I think it's solid.
I think it's solid advice.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
What makes it solid?
Karma. At the end of the day,
I don't like karma.
You know what I mean? You don't want to. the bad energy you put out is ultimately going to come back. So you want to, at the very least, keep it balanced to a degree. But yeah, you want to help those around you, because at the end of the day, that helps everybody.
Yeah.
Some people.
What's interesting is, Mr. Maritime, you said you hate karma.
Mhm.
That karma falls under a cognitive distortion. If I do good in the world, then all good will come back to me. Well, there's a lot of people that do a lot of good in the world, and a lot of bad comes for them. So, like, how do you explain that? But we won't go there too hard. We won't go there too hard. So why else do you guys think that's solid advice?
I mean, it's just truth, because like, having sex with a man won't make, a woman having sex with a man won't make him love her more. Like, that's just that's just bad. Like, it's not realistic to think that will happen. You know what I mean? He may like having sex with her, but he may not like her as a person or whatever. He could just separate that from it. So men are able to separate their emotions from sex.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
where women,
you think all men can do that?
No. Some. I mean, so I think that depends on, like, okay, so what kind of guy were you? Were you a guy that did you have a problem getting girls or anything like that coming up? Because if you had a problem getting girls, you could be like overly thirsty and you're saying you're having sex with them. Oh, I love you, and like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so
because
you had a problem getting women, then you don't know how to control yourself.
Yeah, your emotions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is.
You know what?
a lot of
Those people with hit lists that got emotionally involved with everyone. They didn't want nobody else dating them or talking.
So then it's more of an ego thing.
That's ego. That sounds more like ego.
This is mine, right? These are all of my beautiful things on the shelf, and I want to take them off the shelf and play with them when I want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was high school.
So no, but let's go back to if you were having a hard time getting girls. So then when you get your first piece, you just all over it. You just done. Oh, I love you. I want you to be my woman. Is that what y'all saying?
So
there's a level of that in that. Yes.
Yeah.
So is that then possibly why men are encouraged to have so many women? Is to learn how to manage that?
Oh man.
No, that's all. Again, that's just more feeding your ego. Like, I'm conquering. You know what I mean? Like,
so let's say then you're a guy who is not conquesting all these different women, and you just have sex with one. Is he not going to be potentially going to get caught up and get in his feelings then?
He could.
Each his own.
Yeah, he could.
He could.
So then most guys, the first time they have sex, they don't get caught up, is what you're saying. They can just right out the gate, men don't get attached.
I didn't. I didn't. I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
Here, I think we all.
I think I got it.
I think I got attached too. Yeah.
Thank you for telling the truth.
Yeah.
Right. Some guys get attached.
No, some guys.
So you might have just had sex with somebody you didn't really want.
I won't delve the information about how that happened. Yeah.
You didn't have sex with somebody you really wanted.
I won't do that.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Maybe so.
So if you really like the girl, though,
if I really liked her, I feel like that's different. If you really like the person.
So you think back to your earlier conquest, and you're saying you did not get attached. That's what you're saying, Chef.
I'm talking about I'm going back to like breaking my virginity. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so you didn't get
attached. The
attached.
very first person, no, I did not get attached.
Because it wasn't somebody you liked.
Nope.
You just got something to break your virginity.
Nah, one of my old.
It's okay. It's a safe space, right? Everybody. We're not gonna hold this against them.
It's all good. I mean, again, I was a different man back then, so that's not who I am today.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it goes to show that everyone's different.
Yeah.
And I think circumstances. But if it's a girl you've been courting and you've been actually really wanting to get, you really like her.
Yeah.
Do you think you're really not gonna get feelings?
I definitely invested some time, man.
It could be It could okay, so but it could be whack though too. Like it could be whack.
So if it's whack,
and if it's whack, like right hand to God, I remember someone that in high school that I wanted like badly, and when it happened, it was trash, and I was like, damn, nigga, sorry. I said, damn, like I really wanted that, and
it was trash.
It wasn't what I was expecting it to be.
She didn't get the goodie bag.
You know what's so interesting?
Yo.
And what I read though, it said good. So I think a lot of people's first time was not the best, and that goes for women too. However, most women, not everybody, it might have been a guy that was courting you for a long time, so you already had feelings before you did it. Right? So it might have been bad, but like now he's your boyfriend because that was part of the deal. At least when I was coming up, you had to be boyfriend and girlfriend first. So I've already agreed to be your girlfriend, and then it's not good. Like, what am I gonna do? Say I'm gonna break up with you now because it was trash? Y'all are all speechless. Maybe. Everybody's just shaking their head. For everybody that's listening, they're just shaking their head right now. They're just like, I don't even know what to say to that. So have any of you ever had a woman tell you were trash?
Yeah.
How did you handle it?
It was tough to my ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yep.
So it makes me think about DJ Envy. I don't know if you saw that a couple years back. Him and his wife got interviewed, and she admitted to faking with him for years, and how that sent him to therapy. And he went went to like he cheated too after that.
He needed an outlet.
Yeah. He cheated too. He cheated. He needed an outlet. He went to therapy, but they ended up working through it. And her thing was, she was just doing it because that's what she felt she was obligated to do. And she wasn't comfortable in her own sexuality and her own femininity to have that conversation about her needs sexually. And she had to mature. And I feel like that happens a lot when it's a younger relationship and you're still learning one another, and you get together in high school and you've been together for decades. Like certain conversations just don't get had.
Yeah.
Okay. What y'all thinking? Y'all ain't throwing no questions at me. I'm doing good. Usually somebody tries to throw stuff back at me. So there was another thing that came up. So question. So if you're a man and you're going out with a woman and she has children, what do you think? Do you think that you should be responsible paying for her babysitter?
Joe, I saw that question online. That was
because we said we would talk about dating, right?
That was wild.
So dating, especially now, most of us have kids or, been in previous relationships. So more than likely it's going to be a blended family, and the divorce rates are so high. So the likelihood at this age, we're all in our 40s, that we're going to meet somebody without kids is probably slim to none. So what do y'all think about that? Do you think that that's a kind gesture? Should it be an obligation?
Gesture, yes. Gesture. Yeah, kind gesture, yes. Obligation, no. Because I think that's the stage where you're trying to learn who this person is. And if you're only showing up financially to do so, that kind of puts a damper on those natural feelings. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, you're not the only one that needs to have A, B, and C in order to kind of be available to go out on these dates. Like, as a man, I still need to be my best self, top to bottom. You know what I mean? I still got to get my hair cut. I still got to get a nice fit. Like, there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw that and I said, it would be a kind gesture, but I don't think I've ever, that's a lie. I'm about to tell a whole lie. No, I think about that. There was once a guy that I was like, listen, if you pay for my child care, I'll go out. Like child care, when my son was smaller, that wasn't cheap. If you really wanted to, get somebody that knew what they was doing. So that could run you a couple hundred just to go out. Like, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I got to get an outfit. I got to do all this, and I got to pay $100. Yeah. Then you ain't seeing me. So if you want to pay for the child care, I'll come out. Some guys did it. Some guys were nice. I didn't date much when my son was smaller though.
Yeah, that's definitely more of a gesture.
Yeah.
Because as a man, if you're dating, is she the only one you're dating?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel for y'all. I feel for brothers.
Is she the only person you're dating? If you're dating multiple people at one time, are you paying for multiple babysitters at one time?
I feel
that's spectacular.
Yeah, I feel for brothers. You know, when we talk about dating, and I know a lot of women are probably gonna push back on me on this, but if you're really out here in pursuit, you gotta have a bankroll. You know, the way the way things are set up, where you're supposed to be taking them out, doing dinner, flowers, movies, like all of that stuff adds up. And if you're dating a couple people, yes, your pockets is gonna get
if you're taking them to the Cheesecake Factory.
I mean, and even with that, I know that was an ongoing. Cheesecake Factory is not cheap.
It is
that was one of my favorite places, and we would spend a couple $100s in there easy when you add drinks and stuff. So I don't know. That was the most stupidest thing ever about that. Dang, look at me taking me to the girl bye. But I feel like there's one of the reasons why I really want to focus on talking to men is because of my dad. You guys may know I'm always talking about my father. I came from a 2-parent household. My father always worked 2 jobs, and there was a lot of stress to be a man, and to figure it out. And there's like no book. Everybody's just trying to do the best that they can. And often our original modeled messages weren't always the best. So I feel like I wanted to start bringing on more men just for people to have models of different type of men than what we see being promoted in mainstream media about what a Black man looks like and what they talk about. I think Black men are awesome. I think they have depth. I think they are conversationalists, they're providers, they're loving, they're good fathers, they're givers, they serve the community. There's so much of that, and we don't see enough of that. What we see is the narrative about the violence and absentee dads and all of that. So I really want to keep bringing on more guys like you, right, that are having conversations that matter. So that brings me to the bet on self moments, right? And my dad always told me to bet on myself. That's become my mantra. Constantly telling people to bet on themselves. That has become now I'm the bet on self coach. And people are like, hey, I know you bet on self, lady. So which is kind of cool, dope. So your bet on self moments, like things that you guys in your life where you've said, you know what, if not now, then when? If not me, then who? And you stepped out and just really taking control over your narrative. Do you guys have anything like that you want to share with the listeners that can be very encouraging to some other men that might be listening?
You want to start down that and then come up?
I don't care. I'll go. So for me, I probably had. Was you gonna go? My fault, brother.
Go ahead.
2 moments in particular that I could think of. Right. So I probably say like the end of 2019. I was working 2 jobs. I was working at BU in the daytime and BU in the nighttime. And I was chefing up too. And so sometimes I would have to, call out to work or say I'm going to be running late because I was doing catering jobs and had to drop stuff off before I went to my second job. And then towards the end of that year, December, going into 2020, I just was like, you know what? I had a conversation with a good friend of mine and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to quit this second job and put more of my time and energy into chefing and all that type of stuff. And it ended up being a good idea because I had a good year, 2020. Even with the pandemic happening, I was still, getting a lot of business, doing private dinners and things like that for people. So it really picked up once I was able to give more of my time to that versus working 2 jobs and trying to do that. It was just becoming too much. And I would say probably a year or so ago when I was working for the school system, I didn't like the job. And then I end up making a moment where I quit my job and again, started being an entrepreneur for myself, and doing my after school program, working with kids. I started something called Kitchen Creators. And then it ended up leading into me getting a chance to go to the Vineyard last year for a month for the Obama Foundation.
That was big.
And my brother's Keeper Boston. So shout out to my brother Frank Farrow, because he put me on to that with very to little experience as far as the mentoring. But like I was good rapport with talking to young people and stuff like that. So it kind of just clicked in, let me know, like, okay, he's asking me to do this. I don't have any experience, but I know it's a moment that it's like, okay, I should really do this and take it on. And it was a great experience.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I
No
think
problem.
that's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huh?
He was being real modest because he got billboards outside,
Yeah.
pictures on it and everything.
Yeah, I seen you on the billboard. You a big deal. Yeah. He definitely has been able to take what he's doing to the next level. And I think often we don't look at, or people talked about cooks, but I love that you're like, I'm not a cook, I'm a chef. And I think that
Big
just
difference.
takes it to a different element in terms of kids, especially children, looking at, wait a minute, I can be a chef. What's that? I think that's the same thing with being a licensed social worker, right? But I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker. The lens of what a social worker is for most people is very narrow. They don't see us doing all of the things that I'm doing. So I just expanded the thought process around what a social worker is and what we can do. So shout out to you for doing the same thing in terms of the culinary arts career. Yeah. So what about the rest of the crew?
You want to go?
I'll go. I've had a few of those bet on self moments. I think the one that stands out the most was when I became a father. Because at that point in my life, I was still trying to figure out, maybe not necessarily my purpose, but it was a moment where it was like, all right, and whatever you was doing before, you need to do less of it, because now you're not doing it for yourself. Yeah. You're doing it for this little girl. So that kind of put me on the path of becoming a better man. And with that, being better to my lady, even though it's been tumultuous because of some of the past things I've been dealing with, but that put me on the path to become better in all aspects of, adulthood, manhood, husband, father, that type of thing. So everything kind of fell into place once I put my foot in the right direction on kind of being a better person. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that too, Hightower. So we're going to go over just a little bit, but we got to make sure we give a minute for the legal, the things that pay the bills and all of that. So I usually end at the top of the hour, but we got permission to go a little bit longer, which is good. So we're going to let this play.
We are the Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up with the bet on self moment. So Hightower, thank you for sharing. Once again, you guys are still listening to Conversations with Coach Live right here on the Urban Heat, live on iHeartRadio. So, Mr. Mirror Time, you up next.
Bet on self. I think it's me trying to figure out my next steps, what I want to do next. Right now, I'm just really trying to focus, is this podcast what it's going to be? I'm thinking about going to school, trying to figure out what I can do behind the scenes, to help out with the podcast. Even my work at the Freddie McNeil, I want that to be a big community thing, where everybody can come down and watch some games, vendors, I'm just trying to, trying to feel some things out. I'm still betting on myself, just trying to figure out some things right now, though.
You know what I love is that everybody that spoke so far is connected to serving and giving back in some shape, fashion, or form. But I want to make sure we get Payne in here too. What about you, Payne?
My bet on self moment was home ownership, because it was just me. Like, I didn't have a partner to help me or anything like that. And then I went to the first time home buyers class, and due to my job, I didn't qualify for any of the stuff. So I had to do it all myself. So I literally was betting on myself to be able to do this. So
shout out to you. Home ownership.
That's a big bet on
that's
self.
That's a big one. And I think for a lot of us that have jumped out and done it differently than what I thought I would. I mean, I thought I would have a partner when I bought my house too. So I know what you mean by that, of just making a decision. Like, again, if not now, then when? And if not, who then? Who's going to do it? Right. So like, do you wait? For those of us that was the desire, do you wait until you get the partner, or do you get the house? There's a gentleman, I wish I remembered his name, but he was saying, finances before fiance. He's doing a whole talk about mortgage before marriage, of getting your financial house together prior to getting married. Now, that's a different school of thought, though. Yeah. I mean, a lot of us is like, got together with our partners and built up with them. Yeah. And so, I think, to each their own, in terms of that. So, fellas, any closing thoughts, of what you want to share with people? And of course, your season is about to start up on March 1st. So I want to make sure to give you some space to talk about the new season as we wrap up today's show.
I mean, I want people to know that, like, despite what we were taught when we were younger about therapy, it's dope. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less of a man, doesn't make you a weaker man by doing it if it's something you decide to do. If for people who don't have an outlet or just don't have someone that they may feel they can trust and talk to, and even if you have people that you can confine in and talk to about stuff, it's always good to have an outlet of a person who doesn't know you, who can only speak from a place of, what you're telling them, and they can respond in that. You know what I mean? Like, I know I can always talk to these guys about whatever I'm going through, but you know what I mean? Like, to have someone who doesn't know me to be able to speak to me in a different light, I think will be a good thing. So I think that's what I would say for people. Like, don't take anyone else's thoughts and perceptions on it. Go and see for yourself and experience it. And I think once you get past the stigma of thinking it's such a negative thing, you'll see, like, no, it's really dope and it's really good for you.
That's a great point. Thank you. Closing wisdom, thoughts.
It's like a mirror time, man.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
It's like a mirror time, man.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, you on the spot.
Mirror time, dog.
You look like you was ready to utter something.
Oh no, I was really listening to what are you saying.
I know, right? He dropped nuggets. I almost was like, we can end it right there, but I'm like, I want to hear what the rest of y'all got to say.
Come on, King.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much to say.
Oh, you speechless?
I'll jump in.
Y'all got maritime speechless.
Since when you at a loss for words? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So
me?
one last thing I want to put out to those that are looking to be better at whatever they're doing. You got to make small goals. Sometimes you make too big of a goal and it seems too lofty to attain. So something I've been practicing over the last couple of years is just to be better the next day than I was the day before. You know what I mean? Because every day you're given the opportunity to have a better opportunity to do something else. So try not to be too hard on yourself for what you did yesterday. Each day you have an opportunity to be better. So
yeah, that's dope.
Church.
Yeah, I have encouraged people to just try to be 1% better than you were the day before. Small, tangible wins win the race, you know, like it's a marathon for real. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Definitely.
I think that's the biggest thing. More kindness to each other, and don't be so hard on yourself. What's going on, DJ Payne? What's your closing thoughts? What's on your mind?
Just kill this stigma of therapy against therapy. Even if you have to do it in a small group setting, I have a group of people that I did that with last year called the Healing Circle. It was great for everyone. You got some stuff out. I've taken a break from it for a couple months because I had some stuff going on, and I like to step away and handle stuff myself before bringing it to people. But it doesn't have to be formal therapy. It can be group therapy. It can be a game night where you're just talking to the fellas, like getting some stuff off your chest, but do not hold it in. It just wears on you. So
yeah, I think your podcast is a form of therapy. I think, one of the things is there's 6 categories of self-care, and one of them is social. And I think most of us need community, right? We need a place that we can belong and that we can feel heard, accepted, validated. And so I shout out to you guys for creating that within yourselves, but allowing other people to sit in and observe it through your podcast, because I think we need more spaces like that, that are authentic and allow people to be themselves. You know, I think that's super dope. I'm hoping that that's what I do on the show, is that I bring people in and I allow them to take down the mask for a minute.
Yeah.
And just, have a conversation. Like, therapy is just a conversation. It's really, that's all it is sitting down and talking about what's on your mind. And what I know is that that's the closest way to feel love, is to be heard.
Yeah.
To have somebody listen to you is 90% of my job is just listening more than anything else. So that's super dope. Any what's going on with the show? Come on, tell people about when that's going down.
We'll be back Friday,
1st.
March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah. Until then, you can find us on, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at the Sparring Minds. Yeah, we're doing the Wednesday night lives to kind of get the conversations going before we come back in March. But yeah, just, if you're on Instagram, check us out there, the Sparring Minds. Check us out Wednesday nights at 7. We'll just have casual, organic conversations with, amongst ourselves and the audience. And yeah, we like to have a good time.
Yeah,
definitely like to have a good time.
Yes, they do. They censored themselves from me. So when you go on their show, they're very censored, but you will get all of the R-rated conversation on their podcast. So you got to definitely tune into that. Shout out again to everybody who tuned in from Facebook and iHeartRadio and YouTube and all of the great spaces that we use on social media. Continue to have dope conversations. Thank you, fellas, for coming through and sitting on the virtual couch with me. And until next time, everybody, have a great week. And you know what to do. Bet on yourself.
That's right.
Yes.
See y'all next week.
You need that on the t-shirt, man.
Oh, I need some merch. Y'all got to put me down with y'all people. I need a bet on self hat, shirt. I need all of that.
We'll get it done.
We'll get it done. We'll have some merch soon. I got an intro song now. Now it's time for the merch. All right, you guys. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you, DJ Plain, for tuning in from your beautiful house.
Thank you.
Capo out there listening, man. We miss you tonight, brother.
I'm waiting on the invite. And then again, fellas, have a great week. And thank you so much. I appreciate you both, all three of you.
Thank you.
And shout out to D4 in the building with the coverage.
Thank you very much, man.
Shout out to Marv Neal. I know I'm gonna hear it, but I appreciate you. I so appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
You know, it's nothing but love, but I know I'm gonna hear it. So
come on, Marv.
Marv's a good dude.
Be nice to me, but I know I'm gonna hear it. So anyway, good night, everybody.
All right, y'all.
Until next time.
Later.
Y'all ready? TSMP.